Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with the most unusual revenge possible. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're going to throw your waste into my garden? Great. My uncle's neighbors really hate him for literally no reason, and one day he walked into his garden to find 3 plastic bags, the heavy-duty ones you get dog food and cattle feed in, lying on his lawn. He knew immediately where they were from since he only has one neighbor, and the bags looked as if they had lazily been thrown over the shared fence. 2 of the bags were filled with leaf litter, and the other one was full of apples that looked like they'd been slightly eaten by worms. Obviously, the neighbors didn't want to eat them. My uncle, let's call him Flea, does all sorts of gardening in his spare time, and he thought that the neighbors threw him their waste stuff for him to use, so he went around to their house and asked if they were the ones who threw the leaf litter and the apples. They shut the door in his face without answering, and at this point, Flea realized they did it maliciously, because they couldn't be bothered to take their waste anywhere. Most of you probably know that leaf litter is great for keeping soil healthy, and my uncle realizes this too, and decides to make compost from the leaves to use for his onions. He grows large onions for an annual competition? Don't ask. After he has a bag full of his homemade leaf litter fertilizer, he waits until one of the neighbors leaves for work, then goes out into his front garden and makes a big deal of spreading the fertilizer in front of the neighbor, exaggerating every slight movement and noise. With the apples, however, he decided to make, in combination with his own apples, some sort of beer/wine/cider hybrid, and he also made sure that at least one of the neighbors saw him using their apples throughout the process. The drink was pretty good in the end, if not a bit strong. The icing on the cake for me, though, is when he neatly folded up the plastic bags and left them piled in the neighbor's garden with a rock on top of them, in which he etched the word, "more." I was like, this is definitely making lemonade out of lemons? Up until the part where he gave the bags back with the rock saying "more." That's golden. Imagine how mad they must have been. And our second story. Whatever you say, ma'am. I'm pretty excited to share my own story. I work retail, so people are pretty consistently crappy to me, especially when it concerns coupons. And today a woman came in with a full book of coupons looking to get a discount on about 6 of the same item. Okay, cool, whatever, except it isn't so cool because the coupon specifies that the customer can only use 1 per purchase. Well, she's been pretty nice so far, so it should be fine, and even though she complains a bit, she accepts this as fact, so it is. That's only until the woman behind her, who I'll be referring to as Karen, speaks up, criticizing me and telling me to get the manager because she's been through this before and I don't know what she's talking about. Ugh. So I get my manager, bring them back with me, and surprise, surprise, they read the coupon only to repeat what I told the customer just a few moments ago, then leaving to tend to other people. Customer has now become angry because Karen is firing her up, all the while calling me stupid and telling me I have no idea what I'm doing, mind you, and spits out that she doesn't want the items corresponding with her coupons anymore. Revenge time. I'm about to effing implode. My hands are shaking as I void the items at the woman's request. Then I get an idea. 1 per purchase. Oh, I get an awful smile on my face and my voice chirps high and happy as I stall on the last item she wants me to void off. Ma'am, if you'd like, I can ring up each individual item as a separate order so you can use all of your coupons. Karen goes quiet as the woman I'm ringing up happily coos at me about how considerate I am, totally unaware that I'm using her to get back at the B word behind her. I then go on to slowly, carefully scan her rewards card, her coupons, as well as her items 6 separate times, and since she's paying with cash and can't seem to unstick her new bills, this takes even more time than it would have otherwise. 10 minutes go by, which is typically a long time when ringing up an order for a single person. The woman leaves with a happy smile on her face, and Karen walks up sullenly without saying a word, with the many people standing behind her glaring daggers into her back so I can ring her up next. Afterwards, in my nicest voice possible, I tell her to have a very nice day. She should have just kept her mouth shut since she had no idea what she was talking about. And I hope this experience has taught her to do as much in the future. I effing hate coupon queens. But I'll let this one pass. And our next story. Park in front of a bus stop illegally? Okay. Cast. Me, Mighty Elevator. RL, Rude Lady. OF, Officer. TD, Tow Truck Driver. A little backstory. I moved to a new city almost a year ago and started to take the bus to and from school. This all started in October, but I stopped dealing with their crap in January. Anyways, so I was waiting outside school one day, and this lady came and parked right in front of the bus stop. I knocked on her window, and she rolled it down. The following conversation ensues. Me. Hi, do you mind moving your car? It's a bus stop. RL scoffs and rolls up window. Now, I have a short temper, sometimes. And this is one of those times. Couple minutes later, me, slightly annoyed, please move your car. RL sighs, where else is there to park? Many other spaces open. Me, more annoyed, literally anywhere else. Get your eyes checked. I pointed to other spots. RL, F you, drives to another spot. Now, this is happening every day up until January when I lose my crap. But during this time, I do some research and find out parking in front of the bus stop is illegal. Oh boy, am I ever happy for some sweet, sweet revenge. So I start taking some photos proving that she's parking illegally, write down her plate number and the address of where this is happening. Once I have enough evidence, I emailed the city bylaws department and they confirmed that parking there was in fact illegal. I also attached my phone number so they could call anytime. And they did. They asked me to call them when I saw her again so they could send a tow truck and an officer. Monday, the day. She parks in the bus stop. I have a grin on my face. Me, knocking on window. Move your car. If you don't, I'll call the boys in blue and get your car impounded. RL, no you won't, you dumb teenager. No respect. Me, just effing move. RL, no. Wait and see where you park when you start driving. Me, not in front of a bus stop like a crackhead. RL, how dare you? I'll tell the principal. Me, try me. RL, huffs and turns off car. I'm doing it now. She runs inside and I call the bylaws department. They say they'll be there soon. About 5 minutes later, an officer and a truck show up. The officer gets out and asks, this her car? Me, sure is. OF, alrighty, signals for tow truck driver. TD begins to prepare the truck to attach the car while the officer writes a ticket. RL comes storming out. RL, what in the F are you doing? OF, you parked here illegally and your car is being impounded. RL, there's nowhere else to park. OF, doesn't matter, law is law. The RL starts yelling at the OF for a few minutes. In the meantime, the TD has hooked her car up to the truck and writes a bill. When RL has seemed to calm down, the officer handed her a ticket for a parking violation. The TD gave her the towing bill as well. RL's jaw dropped to the earth's core. OF, the fee is $50 per day for your car being stowed in the lot. RL, now fuming, you can't do this. OF, neither can you park in a bus stop. RL, turning to me, you little crap, you did this. The bus turns around the corner and stops to let me on. Me, thanks OF and TD. I grinned and gave RL the bird as I got on. It's now April and I haven't seen her since. She got what she deserved. Well done, OP. I fail to see why the principal would have any sympathy for her. She's breaking the law at her school, and more than likely, the principal told her to GTFO, which just adds to the victory. And our last story. Don't walk on your property? You got it. This one goes back to the previous neighborhood our family lived in. It was a really nice, quiet, horseshoe-shaped street, but it had no sidewalks. When my wife and I would walk the dogs and our kids, we would have to walk in the street. This was not a problem unless a car came and we'd have the kids step aside into the grass to stay out of the street while the car passed. The neighborhood was built in the 80s and many residents are original owners. Mostly nice, but of course we have some nasty humanoids among them. One neighbor in particular seems to always have to say something mean when we go by. She's a deacon at the church my family goes to and is the type to be religious for face value only. One day in particular, she yelled at us for allowing our kids to step in her grass while avoiding a car in the road, and I told her they were just stepping aside until the car passed. She got overly angry and started spraying a hose at us, screaming like a banshee. We hurried the kids away and told them that they did nothing wrong and from now on we'll walk on the other side of the street. About 2 weeks later, her and her husband got a new shed installed at their house and had to have the property surveyed for it. As we drove by, I noticed something. The front property boundary was about 10 feet back from the road. The houses on their side of the street all a little farther back. I had a friend who does surveying come out and do our property, and sure enough, our boundary was about 3 feet from the road. We did some digging through the archives at City Hall and found that the neighborhood was permitted and designed to have a sidewalk that ran the length of a horseshoe on her side of the street. The 10-foot right-of-way was designed to have curbing, grass, and then a sidewalk. So I did what any sane person would do in this situation, and I contacted the township to have a sidewalk put in. The township notified all residents of the request and held an open hearing for it during a township meeting. Most of the neighbors showed up in support of it. Most didn't care. But that nasty woman showed up to protest it and raised all hell. A month later, they began excavating for the sidewalk, and when they got to her house, she'd planted a big landscape piece with flowers and shrubs and a tree right in the way. The township told her to remove it. She didn't. They fined her and removed it themselves. The best part of the story is that 2 weeks after the sidewalk was finished and in, we listed our house and moved to another neighborhood. She still makes nasty remarks to my mother at church, and we drive by her house while visiting our old neighbors every now and then. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.